In this video, we are going to be talking about the greatest side hustle that can also become a full-time occupation that makes you a full-time living, and that is reselling on eBay and other platforms such as Poshmark, Mercari, First Class Treasures, and whatnot. My name is Jake. I have been reselling full-time for 4 years, and I have sold over $1 million worth of product on eBay alone, and several other hundreds of thousands of dollars on these other platforms that we will be mentioning later. But I want to teach you guys how to make the most money in the most efficient way here on eBay, and it's life-changing. It has changed my wife and I's whole life. We're so excited about the future, and we hope that you guys can be excited about your own futures through reselling. So let's talk about it. I want to dive right into the most important topic in reselling. This is the thing that you need to be spending the majority of your hours each day and week and month doing, and that is sourcing. As you guys dive into the reselling community, which I definitely recommend doing through watching a ton of YouTube videos, going to live shows on First Class Treasures and whatnot, and going to podcasts such as the Reseller Locker Room, or every Tuesday night, Kat the Nurse Flipper and Sunny Las Vegas do a reselling live Q&A for 2 or 3 hours. It's really awesome. You definitely want to immerse yourself in this culture and community because it's going to help you learn more tips and tricks along the way. That's going to help you make more money and save more time as you're doing so. But as you immerse yourself in this community, you're going to hear a lot of phrases such as, you make your money when you buy, you can't sell anything if you're not buying anything, things like that. So sourcing is the most important part of this reselling business, but it's a double-edged sword because it can also lead to your store not being successful and closing up your business completely and failing as a reseller. So I want to talk about how to balance sourcing so that you make as much money as possible. Let's talk about the drawbacks of sourcing and why it is a double-edged sword. The first reason is also, as you're immersing yourself in this community, you're going to hear a common phrase, which is your death pile. Your death pile is a bunch of stuff that you bought to resell, but you haven't listed it yet. The death pile is a destroyer of your eBay business. There are many successful resellers who have a fairly large death pile, but they are also listing each day and week. But you want your death pile to be as small as possible. I personally have no death pile. When I get items, I process them and I list them. The reason why it's such a double-edged sword is because the average reseller loves buying. We love the treasure hunt. We love going to yard sales and thrift stores and flea markets. We also love doing retail arbitrage and going to stores like Walmart and Ross and TJ Maxx and buying stuff. We love the thrill of the hunt. But what ends up happening is some resellers buy too much, go home, start a death pile, and then before listing that death pile, go out and buy more. And then they add to the death pile, they list a few items on a Tuesday, they go out and they source again, and they just keep increasing that death pile to where it takes over a whole closet. Then it starts to take over a whole basement, and then a garage, and then multiple storage units and sheds. You definitely do not want to get to this point. So you have to balance buying and actual listing, because I personally recommend spending more time sourcing than I do listing, but you have to have that balance in order to be successful. So let's talk about that. I want to talk about a huge myth and misconception here in the reselling community that amplifies the problem within sourcing. And that is, people believe that you have to list every single day on eBay in order to wake up the algorithm to reward you with more sales. This is false. I really understand the mindset behind it. I myself do list every day, but it is not for the algorithm. It is for my personal and business consistency, doing the same thing every single day, stacked on itself, day after day, month after month, year after year, compounds into something beautiful. We'll talk about that later. But it is not because I think that the algorithm is going to reward me for listing consistently and punish me for listing sporadically. So here's an example. of this in action. A lot of my subscribers and people in this community have 1,000 item stores, and they're selling 5 items per day. They're usually listing about 10 items or so per day, right? So then they think to themselves, if I can just have 2,000 items, I'll start selling 10 items per day. So I'm going to double my listings in the pursuit of getting to 2,000 items so I can list 10 per day. The flaw with this is if you already had the ability in your area with your current skill set to list 2,000 quality items into your store, you would already be doing so. So what ends up happening is you're listing 10 per day. Now you're going to double it somehow to 20. The only way that you can realistically do that is by sacrificing the quality of your items. I'm going to talk about a concept called sell-through rate here in a minute. But what ends up happening is you're listing 10 pretty decent items per day. And then you're like, I want to get to 20. So you get 5 more not so good items each day and 5 more pretty crappy items. So that way you can list 20 in your store every single day, and you can eventually get to 2,000 items in a month or 6 months or a year, however long it takes. What ends up happening is you're selling 5 per day with 1,000. By the time you get to 2,000, you realize that you are only selling 7 per day instead of 10. Sometimes it's only 6, which is even a tougher situation. A lot of cash flow issues, a lot of anxiety and hours. We'll get to that in a second as well. But you're stuck in this situation where you have done significantly more work to make just a tiny bit more of money. Your return on your hours and investment is actually negative because you sacrificed the quality of your items just so you can increase your store size and just so you can list every single day to get the algorithm on your side. But what you're doing is you're actually getting the algorithm working against you. And let me explain that as well. So again, sourcing is the most important part of your business, and I recommend spending more time more time sourcing than any other part of your business. But what I recommend doing is searching for high sell-through rate, in-demand items. There's a popular method here on YouTube within the reselling community. It's called a volume store, where you just buy everything for as cheap as possible. You don't even look up the demand for it whatsoever. You just list as many items as you can, hoping that one day it will sell, and you don't care if it's tomorrow or 15 years from now. When it sells, it sells. I'm just going to focus on building a store. That can work for some people, but it's not going to work for you, the average new beginner here in reselling. You want to focus on high sell-through rate items. Now, unfortunately, in the community, people go back and forth about the concept of sell-through rate. I honestly think it's stupid, but whatever. There's different ways to calculate sell-through rate. The way I do it is the simplest way that's going to help you govern your decisions when looking for items to sell in your eBay store. So, for example, the way that you calculate sell-through rate is very simple. You find an item. Let's say you found a Porter Cable Speedmatic. Okay, so you're going to type in Porter Cable Speedmatic, and then what's even easier about this is it has a model number, which is 75361. So I'm going to type in 75361, and I'm going to hit search. Now what you're going to see is there are 11 of these listed. Then you're going to hit filter and scroll down to sold, and you're going to select that, and you're going to see that there are 10 sold. This is a great sell-through rate item. What you're going to do now is you're going to take the amount of items sold, which is 10, and you're going to divide it by the amount of items which are listed, which is 11. And that brings us to 0.9090990, okay? All you're going to do is you're going to move the decimal over 2 spots, and that's going to give you your sell-through rate. So this has a 90% 90-day sell-through rate. This is just the easiest way to calculate if something is worth buying or not. Find out what that number is, and then make it as close to 100 as possible. Now, sometimes you're going to find items that have have 25 sold and only 10 listed. Okay, that is a 250% sell-through rate. That is an incredible item that you need to buy right now, even if it's at a higher price, because it's going to move extremely quickly. So you are going to look up each individual item you are finding out in the wild, and you are going to try to find as many items as you can with a 100% sell-through rate. As you are doing this, you're going to find many items that have a 50% sell-through rate, that have a 5% sell-through rate, an 80% sell-through rate, 100, 250, 300. Some items are extremely fast sellers. Some are extremely, extremely slow. Not all of your items have to have a 100% sell-through rate, but your goal is to have as close to a 100% 90-day sell-through rate store as possible. So let me explain that. It is okay to list slower sell-through rate items as long as your store as a whole has a great sell-through rate. So the way you calculate this is you just take your store size divided by how many items you have sold. So if you have 1,000 items sold in the last 90 days, this is all available in your eBay app, and you divide that by how many items you have listed. Let's say you have 3,000 listed. You have a 33% sell-through rate store. So what I would do in this case is I would just focus on items that have at least a 40% sell-through rate or higher. As you list more 40% sell-through rate items into your store's sell-through rate is going to tick up a little bit to like 34, 35%. But if you are picking up items that have a 100% sell-through rate, eventually, this is a long process, those slower, if you have a 33% sell-through rate store, you're gonna find 100% sell-through rate items all the time. You're gonna list them into your store and they're gonna be gone quick. So that also means you're gonna have a lot of 15 and 20% and even 5% sell-through rate items dragging down your store. I would just recommend taking those out completely. But as you sell those slower sell-through rate items, it's going to increase the sell-through rate of your store. And as you put in those higher sell-through rate items, it's going to drastically increase the sell-through rate of your store. This, again, is a long process, though. So what I would do is every month, at the first of the month, I would do an evaluation on your business and see what your store sell-through rate is. So if it's 33% right now, in 30 days, I would aim to have a 35% sell-through rate, which means picking up as many 100% sell-through rate items as possible. 1 month from now, if I calculate my store and see that I am still below that mark, then I'm going to up how picky I am. So if I'm picking up items that have a 50% sell-through rate or higher, and I'm still only 34% or 35%, then now I'm gonna be much pickier and say I'm only picking up items that have a 60% sell-through rate or higher. And then just keep doing that until your store catches up. Then the next month, hopefully you're at around 37 or 38%. And then hopefully you just keep ticking that up over time. What happens though, is in pursuit of increasing your store sell-through rate instead of your store size, is you end up listing less items, and sometimes it's a bit more inconsistent, but that's okay. What I recommend doing is having a 50% or higher percent sell-through rate store, okay? What that means is sometimes you're gonna find 13 50% sell-through rate items, list all 13 of them that day. If you only find 4 the next day, just list 4 that next day. If you find 0 the next day, list 0. If you find 19, list 19. If you find 600, that's awesome. Put it in an inventory system next to your desk or in a closet, whatever it is, and then go list as many of those as you can each day. If you find 600 50% sell-through rate items all in one hit, I would definitely break that up into about 20 to 30 per day, and then just do that until that pile is gone. And if you're very consistent in that, you can keep sourcing and finding good stuff with even faster sell-through rate items, but you have to be very disciplined in that. But basically what I'm trying to tell you guys is at thrift stores, at yard sales, everywhere you go, look up the items that you are putting into your store before you buy them. Even if you have sold the item in the past, still look it up today. I tell this story all the time. In 2022, I was buying Google Nests, their Wi-Fi extension little electronic units. They were selling for $40 plus shipping, and they had a 300% sell-through rate. There were usually about 50 listed and 150 sold. Awesome product. 1 year later, they were only selling for $25 at a 100% sell-through rate. So if I could pick it up for $5 or less, I would still pick them up. 1 year after that, they were selling for $16 shipped at a 30% sell-through rate. There were 333 listed, and only 100 were selling every 90 days. Terrible sell-through rate, right? So I started to leave those behind. Do not feel embarrassed or feel like people are looking at you or judging you when you are looking up items. I go to yard sales with a GoPro strapped on my chest, and only one person has ever even asked about it. I am constantly looking up items at thrift stores or yard sales, and wow, that's a hard English phrase for me all of a sudden. It doesn't matter what other people think. For all they know, there's the phrase, you are on Snapchat or Instagram or checking your stock portfolio. It doesn't matter what you're doing on your phone. It's your phone. It's not other people's business. I promise people care about you way less than you care about you. So while you are at thrift stores and yard sales, whip out your phone and look up items and do that fast sell-through rate calculation and think in your head, okay, I have a 50% sell-through rate minimum. Oh, this only has a 20% sell-through rate. I'm leaving it behind. Now that we have talked about what items we're actually going to be picking up, fast sell-through rate, high in-demand items, let's talk about where to find them. There are 3 major pillars of sourcing that I have uncovered in my reselling journey that I want to share with you guys today. And I want you guys to have your foot in the door of all 3 of these pillars and constantly be using them to build your business, and it's going to be very successful over time. The first pillar is in-person sourcing. This is the most common and easiest way to source, but it gets harder and harder each day because it is so easy. You guys have all heard the phrase, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. People have realized how easy it is to go to yard sales and thrift stores and buy things for $1 that sell for 60, that these thrift stores especially have started to catch on to that, and their prices have gone up faster than inflation and all that, but let's not dig into that. So anyway, even with the price increases, you are still going to find incredible deals at thrift stores, especially at yard sales and flea markets, that you need to capitalize on. So these are the most basic ways of sourcing. I would recommend going thrifting daily if you can. I would definitely recommend going to yard sales every weekend, especially in the beginning. This may require some sacrifice. You may have to miss some family events. You may have to tell your friends and family, I can't go to the lake this weekend. I'm building a better future for myself and my family. Saturdays are the most important day in my business, and I got to get after it. Especially if you're working a full-time job, Saturdays is extremely important because you're able to get the highest quality items at the cheapest price possible. So again, I would have my foot in the door in all of these. There's not really any flea markets here in Utah. There's a few, but they're not great. Yard sales each weekend, really awesome. And thrift stores in Utah specifically are really good. I'm very blessed to be in Utah. But everywhere I go, I've been to Florida, Kentucky, California, New York. I've been all across the country, and I always stop in thrift stores everywhere I go. And I always pull amazing items at amazing prices in every city that I've ever thrifted in. You're going to hear a lot of people complain like, oh, I wish I had those thrift stores in Florida, or I wish I could find those items in Kentucky. I find them everywhere I go. So you just got to get better and better every day at finding these items. And then another method for in-person sourcing that I really like, that I utilize a lot, is retail arbitrage. I go to Walmart and TJ Maxx and Ross are my 3 favorite locations. And I buy items usually on clearance, and then I resell them on eBay or Amazon or in live shows on First Class Treasures. I have an app. It's not my app. It's just the app that I use called Deal Soldier. There's going to be a link in the description. It's just over $1 a day. It's like $40 a month or something like that. But it alerts you when there are huge clearance items at your local Walmarts, Targets, Home Depot. I use it mostly for TJ Maxx and Ross. It will tell you, hey, Sonic is really hot right now, and you can buy these Sonic figures at Ross for $3, and they're selling on eBay for $27 plus shipping. Go find them. Same thing at Walmart and Target and all that stuff. I definitely recommend adding retail arbitrage to your arsenal. It can be really awesome. And retail arbitrage is pretty difficult without assistance from AI. So Deal Soldier is really awesome because it'll just tell me, hey, go find these mushroom stools at TJ Maxx. They're only $30 and they're selling on eBay for $180 plus shipping. Awesome. Go find the Hello Kitty blankets that are only selling for $16 in TJ Maxx that are selling for $50 or $60 on eBay. It's really awesome. So typically these retail arbitrage items have either a much faster sell-through rate than used items or significantly slower. So once again, at the store, check the sell-through rate of each of these items and make sure that you are getting the best product available. But in-person sourcing is probably going to be the foundation of your business. You want to be going to thrift stores as often as you can, to garage sales as often as you can, and to flea markets as often as you can. The next pillar in sourcing is online sourcing. What's incredible about online sourcing is even if your area sucks, I truly believe that in the United States, there's no such thing as a crappy area. I hate to say this, there are just crappy sourcers. There are crappy resellers. You can always find products to sell at thrift stores, garage sales, and flea markets. You just have to work really hard to find them. But anyway, online sourcing, if you're not very good at in-person sourcing, or if you're like in Los Angeles and San Diego, it is just tougher. You go to yard sales. I just sold a Bose system today that I bought at a Utah thrift store for $10, sold it for $80. In Los Angeles, that's probably going to be $45 at the thrift store. Still a margin there, but it's a bit more risky and not as much profit, right? Anyway, online sourcing is awesome because if you live in America, man, game over. So the way that I do online sourcing is threefold. First is Facebook Marketplace. I am constantly searching and refreshing on Facebook Marketplace. I look for watches and cameras and video games and consoles and all that stuff. You can find a ton of these products on Facebook and you can source them. But keep in mind, there are also a lot of other people doing this in your area. And there are people like me who are using and leveraging AI to do this. So I trained an AI program to be constantly searching on Facebook at every second of the day for the items that I am looking for. And if there is an item that I like, it will automatically send a message to the seller saying, I'm interested in this item. What side of town are you on? And is the price negotiable? And then boom, I get messages all day saying, yeah, I live on this side of town and I'm willing to negotiate. Here's my final price. And then I'm able to go buy those items. I don't do that as much because that requires driving around, and then it becomes that combo of online but also in person, and it slows my processes down. But this is an awesome way to source. Not only is there Facebook Marketplace, but there is Facebook buy and sell groups. So wherever you live in the country, whether you live in Frankfort, Kentucky, or Hilliard, Ohio, or Temecula, California, go into Facebook and search. Where I live in Layton, Utah. So I'm going to search Layton online garage sale or Weber County yard sales online. Just search that into Facebook and you are going to find groups where people just say, hey, I've got this couch, we're moving, $50, first person to come grab it. Or I'm selling off my husband's watch collection who just recently passed away. Come by and make some offers, things like that. But the coolest part about this is you can get on that site. You can get on those Facebook groups and you can take a picture of all of your watches and you can say, I buy watches and I pay the most money out of anyone in town. Please message me photos of your watches and we can negotiate a deal. And then you're going to have people sending you messages with whatever it is that you're trying to get. Video games, watches, cameras, sunglasses, whatever it is. I definitely recommend only doing one niche product per post though. If you say, I buy and sell anything, you're not going to get a lot of messages. But I have like 700 cameras right here next to me. Sorry, right there. Those are all cameras. I have about 700 of them in stock right now selling on eBay. If I take a picture of my 700 cameras and say, I am looking for digital cameras, please send me pictures of what you have. I pay top dollar for them. I get dozens of messages every time I do this of people trying to sell me their Canon PowerShot ELPH 180. It's awesome. Some people are asking hundreds of dollars for their cameras. Other people are like, I have 3 of them. Does $5 each sound good? Heck yeah, that sounds good. What's your address? This is an awesome way to source. Number 2 is sourcing in live shows, specifically First Class Treasures and whatnot. So firstclasstreasures.com is my own website. I would really appreciate it if you guys check it out. It's the first link in the description. I have a ton of sellers in my network that are able to get all of their items from estate sale cleanouts, or they own a junk removal business, or they buy storage units. So they're getting a ton of their items for $1 or less each, and they're just hoping to get $2 or more per item. So they run them live, and it's an awesome opportunity to get really good eBay inventory to sell. I don't know if any of you guys have watched my what sold videos, but especially recently, I am constantly buying things for $2 that sell for $18, or I'm buying things for $5 to $7 that sell between $35 and $50, and I'm selling them on eBay, and they have incredible sell-through rates. So I definitely recommend checking out firstclasstreasures.com. Make sure you download the District app, which is the platform that hosts First Class Treasures. That way you're going to get notifications every time we go live. So if you click that first link in the description, at the top banner, it's going to say download the District app. Make sure you download the District app, make your free account. It's completely free to join. And then hit us up in those live shows. You're going to make a ton of money. Also, I'm doing this on Whatnot all the time. On Whatnot, there are a ton of sellers that have... So I specifically source a ton of watches and sunglasses on Whatnot. And a lot of times I'll search watches, and there will be people with 450 people in their show. I typically don't source there because I'm competing with 450 other people live. But if you scroll down, you'll see some people that have 30 people in their show, 16, even 7. Usually if someone only has 7 people in their show, there's a reason. They are low quality, crappy fashion watches that don't sell for $5 shipped. But I've noticed that people that have between 18 and 35 people in their show, that's typically the best shows you want to source from. So they'll go ahead and they'll run this pocket watch. They'll start it at $1, and then you can bid it up. And if that's a $60 pocket watch, if you can get that for $15 or less, boom ski. So I definitely recommend going to First Class Treasures and to Whatnot and sourcing live from these sellers, because they're able to get their products for super cheap, and they are okay doubling, tripling. Obviously, they want that pocket watch to sell for $48 or $50, and sometimes it does. I have even sold some products that sell on eBay for $40, and they end up selling for $65 in live shows, which is awesome. But that's extremely rare, even for YouTube content creators that have an audience. But the majority of these resellers are selling $40 items for $8 to $12. If you can get it for under 15 and it sells for 40, boom ski. And what's awesome specifically about First Class Treasures is you are able to combine shipping. So what a lot of sellers do is they'll have a show on Monday and they'll sell a ton of stuff, and you buy the first item. Like let's say you buy this pocket watch. You buy it, your first shipping charge is $6. And then later on in the show, they run a second pocket watch and you grab it, and it's only $1 for shipping on that. So you get combined shipping. So you only paid $3.50 each on shipping on those watches. And you can stack that as high as you want, just depending on how many items you win. But what's really cool, Whatnot does that as well. But then once the show ends on Monday, you get charged and it gets shipped out. On First Class Treasures, the seller can go live even the next day, or maybe Wednesday or Thursday, and they can run the show, and your combined shipping is still there if they haven't shipped yet. So now you've already bought 7 or 8 watches, and now they're doing a glass show, and you can pick up this glass paperweight that would have been $9 to ship, but because you have that progressive shipping unlocked, it's only $1 to ship this. So you can stack a box worth of 20 profitable items to sell on eBay and pay $14 to have it all shipped. It's incredible. And then the third way to source online is I go to ebay.com and I search lots. I'll search for watches lot, remote control lot, cameras, anything that I like to sell. I usually recommend only shopping for small items that can fit in your hand that are less than 8 ounces, such as all those items that I just said. You can be successful in searching DVD VCR combo lot and buying 10 of them, but the shipping is going to be like $45. So you're paying an extra $4.50 per unit, which if the margin is there, that can work. But the smaller the items, the better. So what I do is I go to eBay and I type in, for example, plushes lot. And then I save that. And then I have, and then I go to sort and I put newly listed. So this is what it looks like on my phone. Guys, this is for information. I'm not scared of competition. I want you guys to live blessed lives, okay? So as you guys can see, it says watch lot, eyeglass lot, remote control lot, digital camera lot, and sunglasses lot. As you can see, there are blue dots next to them. So since I have checked last, there are 36 new results for eyeglasses. You go to sort and you put newly listed. Now that I've looked at it, you can see that that blue dot is no longer there. So the blue dot means that new items have been listed since the last time you checked. So just find your niches that you like to source online, put them at eyeglass lot, sunglass lot, whatever it is, and then just constantly be searching throughout the day. Every time you see a blue dot, go click on it. If you see an item you like, put a heart next to it, and then as the auction expires, you can put in your bid. Maybe you'll win, maybe you won't. But there's no excuse to say, man, my area sucks, because of these 3 simple methods: Facebook Marketplace, First Class Treasures and Whatnot, and eBay. Thought I'd switch up the angles a little bit. The lighting isn't perfect, but it's acceptable. I hope you guys are enjoying the video and learning a lot from this so far. If you are, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. It truly does help out the channel. But anyway, let's get back to business. We already talked about the most important thing in your eBay business, which is sourcing. I really hope that you guys focus on store sell-through rate instead of store size. I hope you guys focus on sell-through rate and demand of each individual item, not just listing and buying stuff because it was cheap. And then I also encourage you guys, a lot of you guys are going to be like, okay, well, how do I know what items have demand? Number 1, look up everything. I recommend going to thrift stores and spending hours in one thrift store looking everything up. Also, keep watching YouTube videos. I do what sold videos and thrifting videos all the time. You can watch those videos and other creators on YouTube. And that's going to show you what things you should be looking for. And then on top of that, when you find these items or similar items, or even items completely unrelated to those videos, look them up on your phone and judge them individually so you can have that fast store sell-through rate. So there are really 6 things that you're going to be doing in your eBay business, basically daily. I take Sundays completely off, and then I just source on Saturdays in the mornings until about noon. But you can do all of these things every single day. Whatever your work-life balance is, just get all these things done. So each day you need to do customer service. You need to ship the items. You need to list your items. You need to inventory those items. You need to go sourcing. Sorry, I had to sneeze. And then you need to be prepping the items that you just source. So I'm going to break all 6 of those down except for sourcing, because we already went into that one, and tell you guys how to do all of these things. Guys, the goal is to start selling dozens of items per day, so that way you can get the post office to start showing up at your house. My post office lady just showed up to drop off my online sourcing purchases, and she's going to take away all of the items that we just packaged that we sold on eBay and First Class Treasures. It's awesome. All right, let's talk about that first step you're going to be doing every day, which is customer service. What I'm about to say I think is very important, and I want you new resellers and hopefully some of you intermediate and advanced resellers to hear this. Customer service does not have to be an all-day, everyday thing. Let me say that one more time because so many of you guys out there struggle with the work-life balance and actually living a joyful, prosperous life because you are constantly nose in your phone, checking messages and doing all of this stuff. It does not have to be an all-day thing doing customer service. Customer service for me takes 10 to 20 minutes each morning. I have my notifications on eBay, and I will get questions throughout the day about items. I'll get return requests, things like that all day long. I ignore them until early in the morning. Every day I wake up and I do my computer work, and I answer all questions, and I handle all the returns and disputes and things like that. It is true you may miss out on a couple of sales per week if you don't immediately answer someone's question, but you are going to have much better mental health. You are going to have much more time to spend with your family and to create strategies to make more money and do the more important things throughout your day that actually makes you money. So I would recommend for the first year responding back to messages as you get them throughout the day, because your store is going to be smaller and you're going to have less items listed, so you will have less questions, and you are in that building phase where you need to make more sacrifices to have future financial success and more time and stability. So if you are an absolute beginner, go ahead and answer those questions immediately, capture those sales, take care of angry customers in the moment so that way there's less repercussions later. But as you get bigger and as you make more money and as you have more time, allow yourself to only do customer service once per day and you will live a much better life. So how do you do customer service? You answer all the questions that you received about your items. You handle all disputes and returns, and you make sure that everyone has their labels so that way they can return your items. And then you're processing the returns that have come in. You open the boxes, make sure that the item that you sent in the condition that it was sent has been returned to you, make deductions if necessary, or give the full return. And that's basically it for customer service. The next thing that you're going to be doing daily is shipping. I feel like this is one of the more important things that you need to do each day. And I wouldn't do much in your day until, honestly, this is probably a good order in which to do things, is to get your customer service knocked out and then to get your shipping knocked out. The next thing that you do with your day is you grab all of the items that have sold on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. I'm going to talk about how to get your items cross-listed to those other platforms later on in the video. But grab all of your items that have sold and package them and get them shipped. Now, this is where a lot of beginner resellers have a lot of fears and questions. So let's dive in pretty deep into shipping and how to do it. All right, we're gonna be hopping around a little bit. I've got my computer in front of me and I'm gonna be sharing my screen, so I might be looking down and not at the camera as much here, but let's hop into how to do your shipping. So when you go to ebay.com, the first thing you're gonna see is just like a search engine and a product page. So you're gonna wanna go over here to where it says My eBay and scroll down to Selling. Once you click Selling, it's gonna bring you to your Seller Hub, which is right over here. Then you're going to go to Listings and click Active. Then you're going to set up your business policies. So I have the business policies opened up here, and I'm going to go to Create a New Policy and select Shipping. Okay, now this is what I recommend for all beginners, is you only need one shipping policy. It's going to keep things ultra simple for you. Go ahead and name it Ground Advantage. That is the service that you will be using to ship all of your items. And then you are just going to select standard shipping, and then you are going to put calculated. Okay, then you are going to do no handling costs, because you're going to have eBay calculate the shipping for you based on what your item weighs and the dimensions of it and how far away the customer that is purchasing it is away from you. Then you're going to select your handling time. A lot of people say you should do one business day. And this is going to give you top rated seller, which is going to save you 10% on fees, which means it doesn't bring your fees down from 13% to 3%. If that was the case, sign me up. But it's 10% of 13%. So you end up saving 1.3% in fees. So you can do that. What I recommend though is just doing 2 business day handling, because sometimes your post office doesn't scan things properly and you start to get dings on your account. So I recommend doing 2 business days and then just shipping the next day anyway. And then you're going to save that. Now, when you are listing your items, let's say you are listing this plush, you are going to weigh it. You'll just have a scale next to you. I recommend buying just a small scale, weighing it, and you're going to see that this weighs about 12 ounces. So always just round up. If this ends up being 10 ounces, add an ounce or 2 for your shipping materials, such as a poly bag or a box. We'll get into those things later. And then put this down for 12 ounces calculated shipping. When someone buys this from you, if they live right down the street from you, they're probably going to pay like $6.45 to have it shipped. And if they live 2,000 miles away from you, then they're going to be charged like $7.60 to ship it. Now, something like this that weighs 5 pounds, you're going to put calculated shipping. And if someone right down the street from you buys it, it's going to be like $11 to ship it. And if someone 2,000 miles away from you buys it, it's probably going to be like $17 or $18 to ship it. But if you just do this one ground advantage policy, calculated shipping on all of your items, it's going to take all of the guesswork out of it for you. Eventually, you want to get to a point where you have some more advanced policies. So if we look at my policies, if we look at all my shipping policies, I have up to 8 ounces, up to 12 ounces, heavy clothes, 9.95 flat. I have sold so many items that weigh under 8 ounces that I know that my average shipping charge is just over $5. So I just use a flat rate of $5.87 on all of my items under 8 ounces. And then for 12 ounces, between 8 and 12 ounces, it usually costs about $5.80. So I charge $6.87 flat. If it was 12 ounces, it would show a range between $6.30 and $7.80. So I just have a flat rate shipping of $6.87, and that captures everyone in America, and I'm able to ship it. But again, this is a more advanced technique, and you won't know if you live in Seattle or Miami or San Diego or New York or Maine, you are going to have much different prices than someone who lives in Ohio or Kansas or Kentucky. So you want to ship hundreds or even thousands of items before you get into your flat rate policies, because you just don't know how much all of those items are going to be to ship them. Let's talk about shipping materials and how to actually package your items to ship them out. Keep in mind, guys, I have done over $1.5 million in sales. I have been doing this professionally and full-time for over 4 years, and I still get all of my boxes from dumpsters. I go almost every morning to 2 cardboard-only dumpsters. One of them is behind a Dollar Tree that has a lot of medium to larger size boxes. And then another one is behind a Verizon wireless store that has much smaller boxes. I get all of my boxes from the dumpster. I also get them, my mother and my mother-in-law buy a ton of crap on Amazon. So they're constantly giving me their Amazon boxes, my wife as well. And then also, I actually get a ton of boxes and shipping material from First Class Treasures. Like I said earlier in the video, I do a lot of sourcing on First Class Treasures and whatnot. And what's really awesome is people ship things to you in various size boxes with a ton of craft paper and bubble wrap. All of this is just from live shows. So it's really awesome to buy on First Class Treasures in those live shows, because you get quality product to resell, and then you also get a ton of shipping supplies for free. I do buy all of my bubble wrap, however. The easiest way to do this is to just type into eBay search or Amazon search bubble wrap. All of the prices are very competitive, and all the bubble wrap is pretty good, so you don't have to overthink it. Just buy the cheapest / highest quality stuff you can find. Then I also ship a ton of items in poly mailers. and bubble mailers. I get all of my poly mailers and bubble mailers from gyropack.com. There's a link in the description below. You can get 10% off your first purchase. I use these bubble mailers for things like basketball cards, as well as watches and different items that will fit in this. And then I use these poly mailers for items under 2 pounds. I just wrap them in a ton of bubble wrap. I throw them in this and then I send them that way. So I do a combination of boxes and poly bags. I'll show you examples of both, but it's a really awesome system. You don't have to spend a ton of money on shipping supplies. Get all of your boxes from cardboard only dumpsters. Don't get them from gross dumpsters that have trash and food in them. There are cardboard only recycle dumpsters. I would get them from there. Or you can just buy them off of Amazon and Uline as well. That's up to you. But this is what I've been doing for 4 years, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. And then grabbing my bubble mailers and poly bags. I usually am able to get these for about 5 cents each, and these are about 15 cents each when you buy hundreds at a time, which is what I recommend doing. So check out that GyroPack link in the description, and let me show you how to ship some stuff. I can't remember if I mentioned it in this video or not, but I sold a Bose Wave system on Mercari. Let me show you how I package and ship this. So the first step here is you are just going to simply wrap it in bubble wrap. I recommend using a lot of bubble wrap. You'll see why in a minute. You want to make sure that you just have a nice thick coat of bubble wrap on that side. Then I'm going to lay it the other direction. I'm not sure how great of a camera angle this is or not, but you're just going to roll that up. And then you want to do it until you can't really see the device that you are wrapping up. So that looks good right about there. Next up, you're going to use a tape gun to just tape. That was probably super loud. Just tape that together so it's not flopping around, and then you're going to find a good box. All right, that is nice and bubble wrapped, and we found a perfect box for it, courtesy of Dollar Tree dumpster. But there's some space right here and right here. So I'm going to center this, and then I'm going to grab some packing paper to put on both sides and to sit on top of it. All right, that's what that looks like. Now I'm just going to simply fold all of these tabs down and tape it up. It's going to be a little hard to record with one hand. Then I'm just going to simply tape all the way down this side. And then I'm going to flip the box around and tape all the way around in one circular motion. Let's see if I'm able to do this. Incredible angles here. Gonna tape it all the way down this side and keep rotating it until I meet where I first started, and then I'm gonna stop there. So I taped it all the way down the center, and then I'm just going to do one right there. Jeez. So I did one center strip all the way around the box, and then I just did 2 more support layers on each side, not all the way around the box, just on the top. Then I'm going to take 2 more pieces of tape and put it right here, just to seal that off, just because you never know where it's going to rain in the country. So you want to make sure that no water is leaking into it. All right, guys, here's the most important part. You want to do 2 tests. The first is the shake test. You do not want to hear anything moving around in there. If something is moving around, that means while it's on the truck and while people are loading it, it's going to rattle around in the box and possibly become damaged. The next test, I am here in a concrete floor garage, mind you. You're gonna do a throw test, okay? This is a $140 piece of equipment. It's very expensive, even in used condition. If you are not willing to do this, do not ship it. It means you have not reinforced your package enough. I have plenty of friends who have worked with USPS, UPS, and FedEx. They literally just throw your packages around. And there's nothing that you can do about that, so you must prepare for it. If you are not willing to throw your own package, do not ship it, because the majority of these guys and gals, they grab it off of a conveyor belt and then chuck it in to the truck. Now, you may be selling a piece of glass. You want to make sure that that is very well wrapped and reinforced, because a lot of us resellers will sell Elite Pioneer receivers. This weighs about 45 pounds. It's going to be placed in a box, And then the FedEx guy is going to throw this right on top of your teapot. And if your teapot, even if it's in a nice box, if it is not very well wrapped, it will break. So just keep in mind that your stuff will be being thrown around and other heavier stuff will be throwing on top of it. So make sure that they are packaged correctly. Make sure to do all of your shipping through eBay, through your eBay account on a computer. Just make sure that you're going through eBay because they give like up to 70% off on commercial rates. So if you go to the post office on your own and you want to ship this scale that weighs like 2 pounds to 1,500 miles away from you, the post office is going to charge you like $18 to ship that. But if you print a label off through eBay, they're going to give you the commercial rate and it's going to be like $8 to ship it. So eventually you're going to want to get a label printer. You don't need to in the beginning of your business. Save all of your money for product and cash flow, but you can get a Rollo or a Munbin. There's a ton of different printers. I have the Rollo. It's the most expensive. The only reason why I have it is because I'm an influencer, so they sent me it for free. Just get a nice label printer and it's able to print everything for you. But in the beginning of your business, until I was selling about 6 per day, all I would do is I would go on my eBay app and I would print QR codes. So I would package everything up and then I would take those packages to the post office. I would stand in line and then I would have the post office attendant scan the barcodes. They would print off a label and then put them on each package. It's a very efficient way. It's not a bad way to do it, but once you start doing 5 or 6 per day, you're going to want to get your own label. So that way you can just print everything off, take it to the post office. And then once you keep selling more and more and more and more very consistently, then you can have the post office come to you like I have set up. All right, now let's talk about listing, a few of the myths and philosophies behind it, how to do it in the most effective way, and then the best strategies for using your titles, item description, item specifics, all of that. So I already touched on this a little earlier in the video, but let's talk about listing daily. So I have talked about it in the past. I use what is called a draft bank. So what I do is I list right now 20 items a day, every single day, Monday through Sunday. Even if I break my leg, I list on Christmas and my anniversary. Every single day, we have 20 items going up, but we are only actively listing Monday through Friday. So what we do is we list 140 items per week and we draft 150. So we draft Monday through Friday, 30 items per day. I'm going to show you how to list items, but what we do is we list our item and then instead of hitting launch listing, my wife works in the business. She does the majority of the listings. Instead of launching the listing, she puts save for later, and that goes to what is called our draft bank. We usually have around 150 to 200 items in our draft bank, and every morning I wake up, and after doing my customer service, I launch 20 items per day from the draft bank. I do not do this because I think it is helping the algorithm. I do this, number one, I do a quality check on my wife's listings. I've been doing this for 4 years. She has only been doing this for about a year and 2 months. So she's not as great as at listing, even though she is so good at what she does. She is so fast. She is the biggest blessing I have in this business. She has just learned how to do all of this stuff so quickly, and she's just really good at it. But every once in a while I need to tweak a title or I need to tweak a price or a shipping policy, things like that. But what that does is it gives me a little bit of quality control so I can check the 20 listings before they go live, and it creates ultra consistency in my business. I love finance and I love investing, and the coolest thing that you can do is you can just invest on autopilot. If you get paid $5,000 a month, you can have, I'm a religious person, so I pay 10% in tithing. So let's say that I make $5,000 a month, I immediately have 10% sent to my church, and then I can immediately have 10% sent to an investment account, and I can immediately have 10% sent to a brokerage account. And then I have 70% left to pay my bills and the wants and needs in my life. And it feels like, let's do 10,000 to keep the math simple. It feels like I'm only making $7,000 a month because I have $1,000 going to the Lord, $1,000 going to future me, and $1,000 going toward investing me. It feels like I only have $7,000 to pay my bills and to do all the wants in my life. And then all of a sudden I look up when I'm 59 and a half and I have $7 million in my bank account, in my brokerage and my retirement accounts, because I just put that on autopilot. The same thing with your eBay business. If you just put everything on autopilot, just like, you know what, I'm going to list 20 every single day. If I can't find enough quality product via online or my in-person sourcing, then I'm just going to, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. If you're able to find enough product, just list the same amount every single day for the consistency, and then you will be able to accurately predict how much money you can make today, in a year, in 10 years, if you just keep up that trend. So I don't do it for the algorithm. I do it for the compounding effect and the consistency effect in my business. I don't just talk to my wife for 10 hours one day and then avoid her throughout the week, because they say 10 hours of open communication in a relationship is enough for it to thrive. I talk to my wife as many hours as are appropriate throughout the day, every single day, instead of just 10 hours today, none tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, right? Now, a lot of you may be confused because you're like, Jake, 20 minutes ago you said don't list every day, just list all of the profitable and in-demand items as you can per day. And I agree. I want you guys to find the balance in that. So if you are only finding, if you only have the abilities to find 5 items per day, then just set a goal to list 3 every single day. And once you get better, you'll start to see, oh, I'm finding on average 7 items per day. Oh, I've gotten better. I'm getting 10 and 15. And you can just keep pushing that goalpost a little farther and farther away. But you need to make sure that you can list those items. And guess what? Sometimes, right now, we just learned that we're pregnant. We're doing a ton of other stuff. We're spending time with family. We're preparing for the baby to come. Right now, our draft bank that usually has 150 items in it only has 50. And if we don't get to our listings over the next week, I'll just launch 0 every morning. It's fine. I have quality inventory in my eBay business that's going to keep selling every single day, and I don't need to list every single day to earn those sales from the algorithm. But in a perfect world, for your consistency and for your compounding, you're able to list daily, and it's just going to be better off for you. But learn the balance. If your sourcing abilities are sporadic, it is better to have sporadic listings than it is to just keep listing garbage into your store because someone told you that the algorithm rewards you for it. It doesn't. All right, let's talk about our actual listings and a little bit of the human psyche, right? You guys are here on YouTube trying to learn how to make more money through eBay specifically, and naturally we just want to do the easiest task possible to do that. So the human psyche, instead of saying, you know what, it's not my items, it's eBay, and I just need to learn how to unlock eBay's algorithm to get more sales, people are going to do that because they're able to just sit down, work with their existing items, and just try to improve them to get more sales. And this is not super effective. So once again, going back to the beginning of the video, sourcing quality items is more important than listing bad volume items. So spend more time finding better and better and better items. Spend more time through YouTube videos and Google and just looking at items on eBay daily. Spend more time getting better at finding better items than listing items and improving those listings. So you want to have a solid listing from the beginning and then never rework it ever again. You can learn this in one day, just in this video. You can learn how to make a perfect listing, and then you never have to try to hack the algorithm to get more sales. Just keep finding better and better items. So when it comes to listings, there is the title, there is the item specifics, there is the description, and then there are your business policies. All of these are intertwined together to best serve the customer. The eBay algorithm is not designed to get sellers a certain amount of views or a certain amount of clicks or sales per day. The eBay algorithm is designed to help buyers find what they are looking for and give you and eBay money. The algorithm is not seller focused, it is buyer focused. Now, being a good seller is going to help buyers find you, because part of best match is helping the customer find an item that is going to be in good condition, it's going to be properly described, it's going to be shipped out in a timely manner, and it is going to be accurately depicted in the photos, descriptions, and title. If your title sucks, it's not going to show up in best match. If you have a 7-day shipping policy, it's rarely going to show up in best match. If all of these factors, right? So again, focus on the quality of the item first, and then the quality of the listing second. Understand that the eBay algorithm is to give the best potential for a customer to buy something than it is to put sellers in front of potential buyers. That's not the function of the algorithm. It's a small part because it is part of the larger picture of getting more people to buy more items. So just be that awesome seller to get the most potential customers to view your items. So you do this through titles, like I already mentioned. With titles, you just want to follow a basic formula. Brand matters the most to consumers. We as humans, we just want people to think that we have money, or to think that we are financially stable, or to think that we are fashionable. It's kind of insane, but it's just where it is. I'm wearing a Patagonia hat that I bought on First Class Treasures for $3, so I got it super cheap. But if I bought this from a mall, this would probably be $45, where I could get the exact same hat without the Patagonia logo for $6, right? People pay $39 for Patagonia. So you want to focus on the brand first, then what the item actually is, then the details on it, and then keywords. So, for example, if I were to list this is an Emerson VHS player. The first thing I'm going to put in the title is the brand, which is Emerson, because some people type in VHS player. This is going to annoy a ton of Gen Xers and boomers and older millennials. A lot of people type in VCR player. I've actually found that more people type VCR player than VHS player, and I am just here to serve the customer. I don't care what it's actually called, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the title Emerson as the first word, because that's the brand. Then what it is, VCR player. Oh, I got to get that off. I paid $6 for this. I already tested it. It works great. I'm going to put Emerson VCR player, and then I'm going to put details about it, forehead, silver, and then I am going to put a keyword, which is the model number, EWV403, and that's my title. The brand, what it is, features, and keywords. Another example would be this Harley Davidson cushion. Okay, so what am I going to put first? The brand, Harley Davidson, then what it is, seat cushion, and then some details about it, black, plastic, and then some keywords. Some people will use this as a stadium or a couch pillow. So as a keyword, you can put stadium seat or couch pillow, and then a model number if it has it, but of course this one doesn't, okay? So that's the title flow that you want to follow. But now let me show you how to actually list. I'm going to list this VHS player for you guys and show you how I do it. All right, guys, this isn't going to be the highest quality part of the video because I'm not going to be showing you on screen what I'm doing. I'm just going to be talking you through it, unfortunately, but it'll still be good. So let's say you're at a thrift store and you find this Emerson VCR player like I did. It's for $6. First thing you're going to do is you're going to look it up to see if it's actually worth buying and reselling. So you're going to type in Emerson, the brand, and then the model number, which is EWV403. If you type in what it is while you're comping, then it's going to bring up other VCR players, even from some other brands, and it's going to affect your results. So just type in the brand and the model number, and you are going to see that there are 84 of these listed. Then you're going to filter to sold, and it's going to show that there are 89 sold. Quick math. This has over a 100% sell-through rate. That's awesome. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to check the price of the last few listings that have sold. I'm seeing 45 plus shipping, 40 plus shipping, 30 plus shipping, 35 plus shipping, 35 plus shipping. And with pretty expensive shipping at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the highest number in here and then beat them on the shipping. So there's $45 plus shipping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this sold listing, and I'm going to hit sell one like this. Okay, there's a ton of other ways to list. This is by far the most efficient one. You don't need AI. It's super quick and awesome, right? It sold for a reason. So if you would like to, you can go back and see if it says brand, what it is, keywords, model number, right? But it sold for a reason. So a lot of times you're good to just copy it and go from there. But if you want to have an even better chance at selling it, this one is Emerson EWV 403. So I can cut and paste VCR player if I want to. But this has such a high sell-through rate that I don't need to be as meticulous on the title. Very controversial what I just said. Some people are going to fight me in the comments on that. But because it has such a high sell-through rate, I can go for speed over quality. Okay, I'll talk about that a little bit more in the video, but it's great. So on your cell phone, now you have the title and the item specifics taken care of for you already. Now you're just gonna hit take photos. And I recommend taking as many photos as necessary. So I'm gonna take a photo of the front and the top and the back. I'm gonna zoom in on the model number, and then I'm gonna do a side photo, and I'm gonna hit done. All of those photos are gonna go up extremely fast. Then I'm gonna scroll down to pricing. I'm gonna price it at $44.87. And then I'm going to make sure that I have the correct item title policy. The reason why I like listing on the phone, one of the many reasons, is because it just copies the last policy that you used. So you beginners are gonna benefit from this much more because you only have one shipping policy that we talked about, which is Ground Advantage. And it's just gonna calculate the calculated shipping for you, and it takes that step out of the process. But for me, I have to switch back to, mine's called Calculated USPS Ground. So I select that, and I make sure it has the right measurements and the right pounds. So I'm gonna do this as 7 pounds in a 12 by 12 by 12 by 12 box. And that's gonna select my shipping, okay? Then all I'm going to do is hit save for later, okay? That took me less than a minute live and explaining it in front of you guys, okay? All the photos, everything. You just copy the listing of someone else's successful listing, review the title and the item specifics to make sure there's nothing crazy in there, and then select the price and list it. Now, everyone's gonna say, oh, well, what about your description? So what I do for my description is I launch 20 items per day, right? I don't have my wife or me, if I'm listing, worry about the description. I just put save for later. And then on my computer, I have a saved section of my description. I'll show you guys right here. Let me pull this up. Again, this isn't going to be the best part of the video, but let me show you. Okay, so right here is my description for all of my items. All items are cleaned and or tested. We usually ship next business day. On rare occasion, we take the full 2 business days to ship. Free returns. Thank you for supporting my small family business. Please message us if you have any issues or problems with your order, or if you have questions before purchasing. Copy, paste. Then I go over here. We'll go to my eBay numbers. No internet. What the heck? I'll be back in a second. All right, as you guys can see here, I'm just in my listings and I went to drafts. We currently have 56 of them. I'm just gonna go ahead and select 20 of them. So I usually do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 eyeglasses, and then 10 other random items. So 1, 2, 3, 4, might as well just do the slide for you guys. 5, 6, 7, 8, nah, that's a eyeglass, 9, 10. Okay, resume drafts. Again, awesome angles and quality. Then I'm going to go to my notes, And for all of the eyeglass frames, I'm going to select all of this. This says frames only, lenses must be replaced. Comes with lenses if shown in photos, but they must be replaced. If no lenses are shown, they will not be shipped with lenses. Copy that, and then select all of the eyeglasses and unselect all of the other stuff. Okay, then you go to bulk edit, item description, add to beginning, paste, apply. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm just going to select this part, copy, and I'm going to select all of the items that are not eyeglasses. Bulk edit, item description, add to the beginning, paste, apply, submit. Boom, just launched all of those 20 listings. Now, as you guys can see here, it says camera only, camera only, no battery, tested with spare, battery not included. That's if I'm listing cameras. I also include here, please Google Max SD card size plus the model number of the camera. The older the camera, the smaller size SD card it can read. Most compact cameras can't handle the size of modern cards. So when people are buying all of these cameras over here, they think they're gonna put a 256 gigabyte SD card into it, and it can only read like up to 4 gigabytes usually. So as you guys can probably tell, I've had a lot of returns for people saying the SD card doesn't work, and I've had to tell them this, and some of them still get pissed and return it anyway. So in order to stay ahead of those problems, I just include this in the description. And then same with this one, works great, needs new battery. This is what I use for watches. I test all of my watches with spare batteries, and then I ship them without batteries. This just lets them know, hey, the watch does work. You just need to go buy a new battery for it. And I put that into my description. You want to make sure that you are listing very efficiently with your phone. It is so fast. Some people here on YouTube are going to try to convince you that taking pictures with a digital camera and then uploading those pictures to your computer and then finishing the listings on your computer is faster. It's not. I have tested both very quickly. I've tested both very extensively, and at least for me, maybe it's just because I'm a millennial and good with technology or something. I don't know. You guys can depict that for yourselves, but it's just so much faster with your phone, copying other successful listings. And even if you have to make tweaks to titles and stuff, it's just a lot faster. So gear items up quick of high quality items, and you're going to be good to go. Make sure that the title is good. Item specifics matter less than you think they do, and the description matters less than you think it does. The title, the quality of the item is the most important. The title is next. And then the other one that's very important are your business policies. So we already went over your first business policy, which is your shipping policy. The faster your handling time, the better it's going to be for the customer. Thus, the more it's going to show up for customers in search. So just do the fastest shipping policy that you can. If you have to do 2 or 3 days, that's okay. I definitely wouldn't recommend more than 2 days. But if you absolutely had to do 3, that's okay, but definitely not 4 days or more. So try to have a 2-day or faster handling time so you can show up faster. The next policy you're going to need is your return policy. I recommend free returns. Why? Because that's what customers want. People don't want to return their items. They just want to buy the best item available and have the reassurance that if anything goes wrong, they can return it. And on eBay, they can just force a return anyway by claiming that the item is defective. So you might as well just put free returns to avoid all of that heartache and to increase your sales, because people are looking for those policies. So if you have no returns as a policy, eBay presents that in the listing and less people are going to buy your item. If it has free returns, eBay also presents that in the listing and more people are going to buy your item. So you have your shipping policy, your return policy, and then I'm kind of blanking here. What are other business policies? Your payment policy, not a huge one. Just do it through eBay. Have eBay manage your payments. It's super easy. And oh man, I know I'm missing a business policy that I talk about often, but Maybe I'll think of it, maybe I won't. But yeah, just make sure that you have quality business policies. Make sure that your customers understand that you ship on time and you ship fast, that you have free returns, and that you give them all of the options necessary to make them feel comfortable from purchasing for you. All of these things help with the algorithm, but don't focus on the algorithm. What does the customer want? The customer wants a quality item that has an accurate description. I forgot to talk about photos, and has accurate photos that show the description, that show the quality of the item. They want it to be shipped fast, they want it to be a great price, and they want free returns if anything goes wrong. Focus on the title, the photos, and the policies, and then the item specifics and descriptions matter much less, especially if it's an in-demand item. If you are a volume seller and you are trying your hardest to sell 5% sell-through rate or lower items, then the item specifics play a much larger role. But if you have very high in-demand searchable items, those things matter much less. Let's talk about your inventory system. This is actually very important. It looks very chaotic right now because I used to have 1, 2, 3, and then right here in the middle, 1, 2, 3, and right here, 1, 2, 3. But actually just this week, I reorganized things to where I can do live shows from the garage, so we have extra space for our baby that's coming in February. So this is where I run my live shows from, and then this is where I have my live show inventory. So all of my eBay inventory used to be on 3 rows of racks. Now it's on just 1.5 rows. So it's a lot more congested in here, but that'll get better over time. Anyway, when it comes to big items, I just put like items, buy like items, and then I search for them when they sell. So if a Coco Motion sells, I know that it's going to be next to the other kitchen equipment, and I come over here and I grab it. If I sell a DVD VCR combo player, I know it's going to be right here next to the DVD VCR combo players and Blu-rays and VHSs. I've got toys up there, etc., etc. Now on my smaller items that I get hundreds and thousands of, you definitely need a SKU system. So all of these eyeglasses are in little bags. Very easy to find. You just type in 2 by 4 2-milled clear bags on eBay or Amazon, and you're able to find them. These all have numbers written on them, and I put these in the custom SKUs on my listings. So that way, if I sell this pair of, what are these? Kate Spades. If I sell some Kate Spades with the model number Isabel G NST 140, I don't have to hunt through thousands of eyeglasses to find them. All I have to do is look for 2186. I do that with cameras and remote controls and watches, etc. So I definitely recommend having a inventory SKU system for your smaller items that you have hundreds and thousands of. And then for the bigger items, I have all my golf clubs right there. I've got all my kitchen stuff, all of, you know what I mean. Now, we've already talked about sourcing, so I'm going to skip that one, but I actually forgot to talk about the third pillar while we were talking about sourcing. So let's backtrack to that. So we have in-person sourcing at yard sales, thrift stores, flea markets, retail arbitrage. We have online sourcing on First Class Treasures and whatnot, as well as eBay and Facebook Marketplace. And then the third one is called networking. It's kind of a combination of the first two. So let people know what you do, and amazing things and doors start to open to you. So when you go to thrift stores, you're going to notice the same people there competing with you and their other resellers. When I lived in St. George, Utah, I went to the same thrift store every single morning at open, and I saw the same people there every single day. There were a bunch of ladies. I called them crazy lamp ladies because shout out to Jocelyn, crazy lamp lady. They went for the same stuff that she would go for. Lamps, decorations, ceramic, glass, all that stuff, right? They were not interested in electronics whatsoever. But every once in a while, they would find calculators in the non-electronic section. They would grab it, and they would bring it to me and say, hey, Jake, I know that you sell a lot of electronics. Take a look at this. You can put it back if you don't want it, or you can sell it. I said, thank you so much. That's awesome. So even my competitors became my allies because, yes, they're resellers, But I'm not interested in selling ceramic plates or pieces of glass. I do a little bit, but those are just on live shows. Like I pretty much just do paperweights. But anyway, there's a lot of sellers on First Class Treasures that are very successful selling that type of stuff as well. It's just an awesome marketplace. But anyway, back to this. So you want to network with people while you're in-person sourcing. This works especially well at flea markets. A lot of flea market vendors are storage unit buyers, and some of them hate selling clothing. And so at the flea market, you can buy some of their clothing and then talk with them. Be like, oh, do you buy storage units, or do you do estate sale clean outs? How do you get all your stuff? And they'll tell you. And then be like, do you like selling clothes? Oh, no. The majority of flea market sellers in Utah and Nevada are Mexican. And I went to Mexico on a 2-year mission for my church. So I speak Spanish and I always like hang out with them. And I was like, oh no, hermano, no, I hate clothing. I buy storage units and I hate the sale of clothing. So I'm like, sweet man, I will give you 25 cents for every single piece of clothing, no matter what it is. Even if it's junk or even if it's super high end, 25 cents, no matter what, I'll take. If you get 100 articles of clothing, boom, you get $25. If you have 1,000 articles of clothing, boom, you get $250 every time, no matter what. They almost always say yes to either 25 cents or they might counter and say, oh, I need $1. And then you can be like, oh, I'll give you $1 if I can hand pick all of them, or I can even do 50 cents for every single article of clothing, no matter what. And they usually say yes to that second option. Also, you can do this with cameras, with remotes, with anything. So really tell people what you do. And then when you're going to estate sales, a lot of estate sales are run by estate sale companies, and these guys and gals have warehouses full of items that they hate selling, but they have to hold on to. I was at a estate sale the other day, and I bought 2 14-karat solid gold 1940s women's watches. They were worth $800 each for $5 each. And then I was telling the guy, yeah, no, I have my own website. I sell watches live. I have a lot of people that love collecting watches or reselling watches, so they follow me and they come to my shows. So I just sell them live. Sometimes they go for $2, sometimes they go for $200. It's whatever. And he's like, I have a whole garage, man. I don't know what to do with them. You want to come buy them? I haven't stopped by yet because he's a pretty busy guy, and it might fall through. A lot of these things fall through because people are just lazy or timid or whatever it is. But just open your mouth everywhere you go and you'll have these opportunities. I'm really hoping to get over to where he is. And if he has a garage full of watches, he probably has a garage full of cameras too. And I'll be able to capitalize on that. And then also when you're online sourcing, if you go to highbid.com and you see that there are people selling a ton of cameras, once you get your order, you can call them and be like, hey man, it looks like you're an e-waste facility. You just are always getting in computers and cameras and remotes. I'd love to set up a deal where I just buy all of your remotes for 25 cents, regardless of what they are. And I buy all of your cameras for $1, regardless of what they are. Most likely they're going to say, oh, we already have a guy that comes and does that and he pays more than that. And then just whatever he doesn't buy, we just put on eBay or HiBid or whatever it is. And then you can negotiate with them further and see if you can work something out. And a lot of times you can. But it's that networking and having items come to you that will really make a difference in your business, especially if you're going to do live selling. If you can have hundreds of remotes coming to you, you can just sell them live and double, triple, quadruple your money instantly. It's awesome. But you want to make sure that you have that pillar as well. So everywhere you go, let people know what you do. And that goes back to the insecurity of looking up items. A lot of people don't want to tell other people. At yard sales, I let people know all the time. Oh yeah, no, I'm a reseller, so I sell all of this stuff on eBay, and I buy it all. So do you have any more of these items? And a lot of people are like, oh yeah. And they're not like, oh, you're a reseller? I'm going to charge you triple. That's never happened to me. It has never happened to me. Every time I tell people that, sometimes they're like, oh, really? How do you do that? I'm like, oh yeah, I actually have a YouTube channel where I teach people how to do it. Like you make more money than you think you could. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I've got 2 more watches. Here you go. $5, $2, whatever it is that we agreed on. Sicko mode. Just talk to people. Let people know what you do, and it'll open up more doors. All right, next up is prepping your inventory. So when you go to thrift stores and garage sales and all of these places, or you get a online order come in, you want to open up those boxes, see what's inside of them, and then prep them. So here in the office, we have these 2 buckets. These are the few things that I have found yesterday and this morning. They go to these two buckets where my wife takes off the, if they're from thrift stores, she takes off the tags, or if they're from yard sales, she just cleans all of the items, and then they are listed right over here. You want to have a space dedicated in your house to where all of your inventory goes that is not a death pile. Sorry, I ran up the stairs and I'm a little out of breath. You want a spot in your house that is your processing pile, not your death pile. If all of this is here 5 days after I purchased it, we have failed. And that rarely happens. Every once in a while it does. And if it happens to you, that's okay. Just try to get better and better every single day, week, and month that you're doing this, and have less and less of a processing pile, and definitely don't build a death pile. So you get it processed, you clean it. Don't reinvent the wheel. All I use to clean, this is from the dollar store. It's LA's Total Awesome. It's $1.25, and I just have a microfiber rag. We just spray down the items and we clean them. Obviously, some things need additional cleaning, so we have magic erasers that we can get things a bit more clean. But yeah, don't reinvent the wheel. Just get your items cleaned and then get them listed. This video is getting pretty long, which is to be expected, but just gonna go at a good rate on these other things. I recommend selling your items on multiple platforms. eBay is going to be the king, so I would manually list all of your items onto eBay in the way that I just showed you guys with your phone. And then if you want to click in one of the links in the description, there's going to be this software called Crosslist. This software is really awesome. So what I do is I launch my 20 listings every day and they go live on eBay. Then I head over to crosslist.com where I have an account, and it pulls those 20 items from eBay, and then I am able to crosslist them to Poshmark and Mercari, and 20 items usually takes less than 3 minutes. It's awesome. It just automatically puts them over on those two, and then you're able to get your items out to more eyeballs, and you're able to sell your items more consistently. So right now I have about 2,400 items in my store. I am currently selling on average 18 items per day on eBay. I am averaging 9 items per day on Poshmark and 2 or 3 items per day on Mercari. And it's definitely worth it for me to cross-list. So if you want to check out Crosslist, it's the first link in the description. This is what I actually recommend doing, is cross-listing, but you have to be on top of the ball. Like I said, you want to get to a point where you are managing your time correctly, so where you only do your customer service once in the morning, and then you have the rest of your day to spend time with your spouse, take care of your kids, go golfing, go out to dinner, enjoy your life, right? Cross-listing does limit that a little bit, because what I recommend is when things sell, you want to take them off of the other platforms immediately, because they might sell on that other platform and then you have to cancel orders, and then your account health can be affected. I forgot to talk about account health. We'll talk about that in a second. But you want to have these items delisted. Some of the softwares are developing auto delist, but it's a pretty hard concept, and a lot of them aren't super successful at it. But Crosslist is working on that as well. But right now you have to manually delist. In my business right now, we have things set up to where I just delist each morning. So if I sell 30 items, I just delist those 30 items on all of the platforms. That process usually takes about 15 minutes or less, and I'm able to sell the items on more platforms. But in the beginning, when you're making those sacrifices and building your business, you probably want to get these items deleted as soon as possible. But I make significantly more money every year, and I sell items even quicker every year because of cross-listing. And what I love the most about cross-listing is I sell a ton of eyeglasses and sunglasses, which is the slowest moving items in my store. I focus on 80% or faster sell-through rate. The majority of my eyeglasses, obviously Tiffany & Co. and Oakley's, those have over a 100% sell-through rate. But my Ray-Bans and Coaches, a lot of those have about a 50% sell-through rate, and even down to 30%. I'd say my average sell-through rate for eyeglasses is 35%, which is super, super low. But when I cross-list them to Poshmark specifically and to Depop and a few occasional on Mercari, it actually takes them to above a 50% sell-through rate, which is very great for the economy and the cash flow of my store. So I do recommend cross-listing. If you want to check out crosslist.com, it's one of the links in the description. It's a really good one. you get 30% off your first purchase. So if you sign up for 1 month for like $30, then you're going to get like $9 off. But if you sign up for the whole year, it's going to be like $400 maybe, and you save $120 if those numbers are correct off of your first year. So if you're comfortable signing up for a whole year, you can get 30% off. Or if you just want to try it out for a month and see how it goes and just pay it month to month, then you'll save 30% off that first month. But it's really good software. I definitely recommend Crosslisting and crosslist.com. Let's talk about account health real quick. So you want to make sure that you are a good seller. I said that the eBay algorithm is not to serve sellers to buyers, but is to serve the best possible product to buyers. Part of having the best possible product is coming from a reputable seller. So in your seller dashboard, you have this thing called seller level. Right now, I am what's called a top rated seller. You want to be top rated seller because it's going to translate into more sales because you are a trusted seller. In order to be a top rated seller, you have to have your tracking uploaded on time and validated 95% of the time or better. So that means if I say that I'm going to ship this in the next 2 days, it needs to be packaged and scanned by my post office in 2 days or less, or it's going to count against me. And if it counts against me more than 5% of the time, I drop. This is also with transaction defects and cases closed without seller resolution. So if you sell something and someone returns it and you're pissed off and you don't want to refund them their money, after 3 days after it's been returned, eBay will just refund them with your money anyway and give you a cases closed without seller resolution. And if you get, I think even 3 of those, especially if you're a small seller, even 1 can knock you out of top rated seller. Then so you want to make sure that you're shipping on time and that you're actually doing customer service, taking care of customers, and being an approachable, great business owner, right? Then there's also called items not as described. People freak out about item not as described too much. You just need to cool it a little bit on that. It does suck though. So there are times, what's cool about selling cameras on eBay, I definitely recommend getting into cameras because they only have a 9% fee instead of 13%. But if you have higher than your peers not as described items, then they charge you an additional 5%. I think it might be 6% now on fees. So sometimes when I sell cameras, this has happened to me once. I sold like 200 cameras in a 90-day period, and like 7% of them were returned with not as described, with an INAD, item not as described. And they started charging me an additional 5% on cameras until it got below 5%, which was my peers' average again. So you want to make sure that you are describing your items accurately. But if you're like selling clothing and you're selling 20 items a day and you get 1 not as described return every 100 pieces of clothing or every 500 pieces of clothing, you're fine, chill. But you want to make sure that your account health. I also wanted to touch on this as well. My positive feedback, my feedback score is 98.3. I currently have 21 negative feedbacks in the last 12 months, 14 in the last 6 months, and 4 in the last 30 days. All 4 of them, I think 3 out of the 4 of them I could easily have removed by eBay, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. Some people think that you have to have 100% positive feedback or 99.9, 99.7 or above to be successful on eBay. I am selling thousands of dollars a week on eBay with 21 negative feedback. It doesn't really matter. You need to be doing your best to provide an awesome customer experience. But let's take a look at this. I sent out some eyeglasses with 40 other packages UPS the other day, and one of them just got lost and didn't get scanned. So my negative feedback, it was out of my control. This person said, claimed USPS lost the order, but it says that USPS in fact never received the product for shipping, wasted a week or so, refund given. So I sent out these glasses, USPS lost them, and I just refunded them their money, and then they gave me a negative feedback. There's nothing I can do about that. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to let it roll off my shoulder. Here's another one. An empty box was delivered today that was opened. So I sent a golf club via UPS and they freaking lost the golf club somewhere halfway through the country on the way to the buyer. So they delivered an empty box to the customer. The customer messaged me and I'm like, oh, sorry about that. I just refunded them and I started a claim with UPS. And then they still left me a negative feedback saying the box was empty and delivered. That's outside of my control. I don't care. It really doesn't affect sales. Disney, the happiest place on earth, has horrible reviews on Google and Yelp. Horrible. But it's still considered the happiest place on earth, and people spend thousands of dollars from their annual salaries going to Disney and buying Disney products and watching Disney movies. We are way too focused on feedback as a culture here in reselling. Again, you guys might think that I'm just justifying being a crappy business owner. Whatever. If you want to say that, that's fine. I'm making millions of dollars in this reselling business having negative feedback. I promise it's not that big a deal. Do your customer service and have good policies and make sure you're taking care of customers. And you're just going to get negative feedback along the way, and that's okay. If you want to waste time and talk to a computer, an AI agent on eBay, and try to get your negative feedback removed, it usually takes 30 minutes to an hour to get one negative feedback removed. If you would like to do that, every time you get negative feedback, be my guest. I'm going to spend that 45 minutes buying and listing items and making more money than you, because people really just don't even really check the feedback. So every once in a while, you're going to have a buyer that like checks the feedback. Those aren't buyers that you really want anyway, because a lot of those buyers are really anal and they'll just return your items for the smallest little thing. You don't want to deal with those customers anyway. So, but yeah, feedback, not as big of a deal as people make it. I just wanted to go over a few more concepts. A lot of people ask me about promoted listings. I promote all of my listings at 2.1%. All of them. Even if they don't need a promotion to sell, or if they heavily need a promotion to sell. Like I've said a million times in this video, I focus on high quality in-demand items. So the majority of my items people are already searching for and they don't need that promoted listing to sell, right? I don't care how in demand or low demand the item is. I just promote all of my listings at 2.1%. So that way it's just super simple and easy in my business. And I don't have to think about things or go back and do, okay, I'm going to do 5% on this one, just 2% on this one. I'm going to wait 30 days to put a promotion on this. No, all of my items have an automatic policy that they get promoted at 2.1% the second that they hit the sales floor, my eBay shop. What I recommend doing is starting with the lowest, which is 2%. I start at 2.1% just to be slightly above the fold of the average. And then slowly increasing your promoted rate until you find a number that works for you. Some people promote their items at 5%, at 10%, 3%. I don't recommend doing the recommended percentage. Don't do that. Just start with 2, and that's going to increase the velocity of your sales. And then you'll realize, okay, I spent $80 in fees this month to make an extra $1,200. That's worth it to me. I would even spend $400 to make an extra $1,200. So I'm going to up my promoted listing percentage to 3% and then 4%. And then you're going to find it's called a bell curve. So the more you promote, the more sales you get. And then eventually you reach a point where more promotion doesn't translate into more sales. And you find the bell right there. Wherever that is for you, 2%, 5%, 10%, whatever it is, just stick with that. So I do recommend promoting your listings. If you own a pest control company, I recommend putting ads on Google and Facebook and paying for them. If you are selling products online, I recommend paying additional money to advertise them to make more money in total. Another thing that I want to talk about is support from your spouse. The average reseller, when people that don't know about reselling, when they think about resellers, they think about hoarders who are just trying to sell dusty CDs that never sell. And you just have to be okay and accept that that's how society will view you at the beginning. Your spouse is most likely going to view you as this in the beginning as well, and you must earn their trust and respect. It should not just be automatically granted to you, because the average reseller starts and fails. Every business, the average entrepreneur fails. So you may fail at this, but what's going to help you be more successful is having your spouse on the same page. The easiest way to get your spouse on the same page is to actually tell them how much money you are making. And this is why I focus on sell-through rate so much as well, is you can accurately predict how much of your items will move because you know your sell-through rate as a store. There's some better days and worse days, better weeks, worse weeks, whatever. You can accurately predict how much money you're going to be making based on how many items you are listing. That is another reason why I like to have my draft bank. So I can accurately tell my wife how much money we should be making each day, week, and month. But you need to understand your numbers. So you need to understand what your average sales price is. So if you go to your seller hub and you go to your overview, there's going to be a sales page, and you can look at your sales for the last 90 days. And it's going to show you how many items you've sold and what your average sales price is. My average sales price is $39.70. Okay. My average fees, my selling cost are 14.1%. So I'm going to deduct that. My average shipping label is 15%. So I'm just going to round that up to 30. So I'm going to deduct 30% from my average sales price. This average sales price includes taxes as well, which is usually 7%. So I'm going to deduct 37% from $39.70, which is $39.70 times 0.37, $14.69. So $39.70 minus $14.69. $39.70 minus 14.69. That leaves me with $25. And then my average cost of goods, the average money that I'm spending per item, is $4. So I'm going to minus that. That's $21.01. So we're just going to say $21. My average profit is $21 per item. And then you can see how many you've sold in the last 90 days. In this case, we have sold 1,742 in the last 90 days. So that means we are selling 19.3 items per day on eBay. Times $21, $406 profit. Times 7, we're making $2,845 per week, honey. Or 406 times 30, we're making about $12,000 per month, honey. When you can actually tell them that, and then you can say, hey, we're making $2,800 per week. So we're making $406 per day, and I am working 7 hours per day. Honey, I make $58 an hour in reselling. That's going to help them much more. And then if you can explain to them, man, I just feel like you're always like going to thrift stores and yard sales and you're not actually like listing and shipping stuff. And it's like, well, I'm very disciplined in my processes. I ship things out every single morning, and I do my listings at morning or night, whatever works best for my routine, especially if you have a full-time job. You're going to be doing a lot of this work in the evenings. And then the rest of the time I'm outsourcing because it's the most important part of the business. Because again, I am trying my hardest not to just be a shopper and a hoarder. And I'm just trying to stay disciplined in my principles of buying things that have fast sell-through rate and high demand at a cheap price and listing them with a quality listing and photos and making money. And I can show you all of this through the numbers, and then you'll have more trust in me, and you won't nag at me for going to the thrift store again, because you know that going to the thrift store makes us $60 an hour, right? So it's important that your spouse knows this. And the best way to do this is not to like break it down for them. If I was your spouse, it'd be awesome for you to break it down for me, because that's how my mind works. My wife's mind doesn't care about the numbers. She just cares about the security and how much work is actually getting done. So if you can just show them that you're paying the bills every month, they're going to have that trust in you. All right, now for those of you that want to really upgrade your business, I would recommend live selling on Whatnot and First Class Treasures. Now, I do all of my live selling on First Class Treasures, obviously because it's my platform and I make more money doing that. But why you should do First Class Treasures instead of Whatnot is, number one, Whatnot, the pros of Whatnot is they have much more potential buyers and collectors. So you may be able to get more money for your items because there are more people buying from you. But there are also more sellers that you have to compete with. So a lot of times your first show, you're going to have 5 people or less in your show. And that sucks. That is awful. Even if you have all 1980s Harley Davidson shirts, you may get 30 people in your show, but because you're so new, it's going to be a tough go at it at the first. So at the beginning of your reselling journey on Whatnot, you are going to be selling $40 items for $2 or $4 almost exclusively. And that sucks because you can just list it on eBay and get $40 for it in less than 90 days. So why would you do that? But as you build your audience and you're doing giveaways and you're giving people good deals on quality items, you're going to get more and more people into your show and they're going to start competing in bids and you're going to make more money, right? I have already done that for you on First Class Treasures. That's why I think it's such an amazing opportunity. I have this YouTube audience and TikTok and Facebook, and I am constantly pulling people over to First Class Treasures. So you can have, my wife just got home, so you can have 25 or 30 people or even more in your first show. And these are people that are constantly buying things. And you're going to end up making more money in your first show and in your last show because of that audience that I've provided for you. A lot of people ask me, so what items do I sell on eBay? Talking to me specifically and asking what they should do as well. What items do you sell on eBay and what items do you sell on First Class Treasures and in live shows? A lot of people think, oh, it's just resellers getting rid of their death pile or their items that have been sitting in their eBay forever, and they're just selling off the losers. Some live sellers do that and they fail very quickly because no one wants to buy your garbage even for $2. So what I do is all of my niche products I sell on eBay, and all of my culturally relevant items I sell on First Class Treasures. So if I find a RMT-V504A DVD VCR combo player remote for Sony, I'm not going to sell that live. Even though that's worth like $18, it could be a good seller. Only a very specific person needs that remote. So that goes on eBay because someone's going to search for that specifically and buy it for $18. If I put that on First Class Treasures, it might sell for $5 or $6 because another reseller knows it sells for $18 and they're comfortable with that profit margin. But if I find like an Invicta watch, that will sell for like $80 on eBay. But that's a culturally relevant item that a lot of people will get excited about. Like, oh, that's an awesome brand, awesome accessory, it looks cool. And they'll bid it up to $45 to $60, sometimes even the full $80, and that's awesome. But even if so a lot of people are like, oh, do you just put your slow sell-through rate items on live shows? No, I sell extremely fast sell-through rate items on my First Class Treasure shows because it's what people are actually looking for. So it doesn't have anything to do with the price or the sell-through rate. It just has everything to do with, oh, is this item cool and collectible, and will at least 5 people be interested in it? There's only one person, like in a live show, there's probably 0 people interested in an RMT-V504A remote. So you need to sell that on eBay because there's 5 or 6 people in the nation that need that today, and they'll find it and buy it. But if you have a 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sealed in the package on card, that will probably sell for $30 on eBay, and it will have over 100% sell-through rate. But I know that that is highly collectible and people really like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I'll sell that live because there will be multiple people interested in it and they'll bid it up. And even though I could get 30 plus shipping on eBay, I'm probably just going to get $18 or $20 on First Class Treasures, but it'll be gone the same day. And I'm able to combine it with other orders and get more people to buy and save on shipping. And that's where live selling really comes into play. So if you are interested in live selling, definitely check out First Class Treasures and Whatnot. Find what's best for you, but don't sell junk. The better your items, the better you're going to do on live selling, obviously. But there are risks. Sometimes you put up a $40 item and it sells for $2, and that stings. But it doesn't happen as often as you would think it will. And sometimes you're going to sell an item that's only worth $15, but it goes for $35. You will be shocked how often that actually happens. So the better items you sell on live, the better you're going to be at live selling. But I definitely recommend selling predominantly on eBay, cross-listing to Poshmark, Mercari, and Depop. and then experimenting with live selling. If live selling really starts to take off for you, some of the best live sellers that I know have like 200 item eBay stores or 500 item eBay stores, and then they sell over 1,000 items a month live selling. The small eBay store, fast moving live stores are like the best hybrid business model for reselling, in my opinion. A lot of people are doing really well with it. So stick around my channel to see those static platforms sales on eBay and Poshmark and Mercari. And then also, if you want to learn more about live selling on first class treasures and whatnot, this is a great place to be as well. There are still so many things that we can talk about that are going to help you guys on this reselling journey. That's why it's important to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be going over all of these things that are going to be helping you in your business. Keep immersing yourself in this culture and this community, and it's going to help you out. So if you haven't already, please check out First Class Treasures, first link in the description below, and subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you guys later.